Have you ever wondered why something as normal as going to sleep could quietly raise a serious risk for your heart, especially if you're older? What if the very hour when your body should be resting is actually a window of hidden physiological stress that the medical world is only beginning to understand? Here's what's really going on inside your body, moment by moment, from the moment your head hits the pillow. Your heart, your blood vessels, your autonomic nervous system, and your internal body clock, a network of rhythms called the circadian system, don't shut off at night. In fact, they shift into a completely different mode of activity. When that nighttime physiology becomes disrupted, especially in older adults, it can trigger stress responses that elevate cardiovascular risk in ways most people never hear about. What the research shows is eye-opening. Artificial light exposure in the bedroom, irregular sleep patterns, poor sleep quality, and the aging circadian system itself are all linked to increased risks of heart attack, stroke, atrial fibrillation, and heart failure, even independent of traditional risk factors like diet and exercise. Today we'll break down the root causes behind this nighttime heart risk, going beyond symptoms and statistics to understand the biology beneath it. You'll come away with science-based natural strategies that optimize sleep, reset your circadian rhythm, and protect your heart every night. By the end of this video, you'll know what to do, not just why the problem exists. And if this topic resonates with you, stick around. The solutions coming up are simple, practical, and grounded in the latest evidence. In today's talk, we're going to unpack 6 critical science-backed insights that explain why millions of older adults may unknowingly increase their heart risk every single night. Circadian rhythm breakdown in aging. How the body's internal clock weakens with age, and why this disrupts nighttime blood pressure, heart rhythm, and vascular repair. The hidden danger of light at night. Why even dim bedroom light can suppress melatonin, activate stress pathways, and increase cardiovascular strain. Nocturnal blood pressure spikes, non-dipping pattern. What should happen to your blood pressure at night, and why failure to drop is a major red flag for sudden cardiac events. Late night eating and insulin stress. How eating too close to bedtime keeps insulin elevated, stresses the liver, and prevents the heart from entering recovery mode. Sleep, apnea, and oxygen deprivation. The overlooked epidemic in older adults that triggers nighttime adrenaline surges and heart rhythm disturbances. Autonomic nervous system imbalance. How chronic stress and poor metabolic health keep the body in fight or flight mode, even during sleep. Each of these factors may seem small on its own, but combined, they create the perfect storm: increased inflammation, higher nighttime cortisol, unstable heart rhythm, and impaired vascular repair. Now let's go deeper. In the next section, we'll start with the foundation of everything, the aging circadian rhythm, and what's really happening inside your body after sunset. Here's what's really going on inside your body after sunset. Your brain contains a master clock called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Think of it as your internal conductor. During the day, it signals alertness, raises cortisol in the morning, increases heart rate slightly, and prepares you for activity. But at night, it should do the opposite. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your heart is like a factory that runs 24 hours a day. During daylight hours, production is high. At night, that factory is supposed to enter maintenance mode. Blood pressure should drop by 10–20%. Heart rate should slow. Blood vessels should relax. Inflammation should decrease. Repair hormones should activate. This normal nighttime drop in blood pressure is called dipping. But here's the problem. In many older adults, this dipping pattern disappears. What the research shows is that so-called non-dippers, people whose blood pressure does not fall at night, have significantly higher risks of stroke, heart attack, heart failure, and sudden cardiac events. Aging weakens circadian signaling, and if combined with poor sleep habits, the heart never fully enters repair mode. Why does this happen? As we age, melatonin production declines, cortisol rhythms flatten, insulin sensitivity worsens, the autonomic nervous system becomes more sympathetic dominant, meaning more fight or flight, less rest and repair. So instead of nighttime being restorative, it becomes a period of silent cardiovascular strain. This is why someone can have normal blood pressure in the doctor's office during the day, but experience dangerous spikes at 2 or 3 a.m. And here's the key: most people never measure nighttime blood pressure. Now, what can you do about it? First, anchor your circadian rhythm. That means consistent sleep and wake times, even on weekends. Second, get bright, natural light within 30 minutes of waking. This strengthens the master clock and improves nighttime dipping. Third, eliminate artificial light exposure at least 60–90 minutes before bed. That includes phones, overhead LEDs, and television glare. Fourth, keep your bedroom cool, around 65-67 degrees, to support the body's natural temperature drop at night. Now let's talk about something that seems harmless, but maybe one of the most underestimated cardiovascular stressors at night: light. Not bright stadium lights, not sunlight, but the soft glow of a bedside lamp, the television flickering in the background, the blue light from your phone. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your retina doesn't just see images, it measures light intensity. Special cells in your eyes send signals directly to your brain's circadian control center. When light hits your eyes at night, even dim light, your brain interprets it as daytime. And what does daytime physiology mean? Higher cortisol, slightly elevated heart rate, increased sympathetic nervous system activity, reduced melatonin. Melatonin is not just a sleep hormone, it's a powerful antioxidant and vascular protector. It helps relax blood vessels, it supports blood pressure dipping, it reduces nighttime inflammation. When melatonin is suppressed, the cardiovascular system stays in a semi-alert state. What the research shows is striking. A recent study published in American Heart Association journal Circulation found that even one night of moderate light exposure during sleep increased nighttime heart rate and reduced heart rate variability, meaning the heart was under measurable stress. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your heart is trying to cool down after a long day. Darkness is like turning off the engine and letting the system reset. Light is like tapping the gas pedal, gently but consistently. Over time, that matters. In older adults whose melatonin production is already lower, nighttime light exposure can further flatten circadian rhythms and worsen blood pressure regulation. So what's the solution? First, make your bedroom truly dark, not kind of dim, dark. Use blackout curtains if necessary. Second, eliminate LED indicator lights. Even small blue lights can affect melatonin. Third, avoid screens 60-90 minutes before bed. If necessary, use blue light blocking glasses. Fourth, consider low-dose melatonin supplementation, 0.3 to 1 mg, but only after discussing with your physician, especially if you're on medications. And most importantly, respect darkness as medicine. Darkness is not just the absence of light. It is a biological signal for repair. In the next section, we're going to talk about another hidden nighttime danger, something many older adults do every evening without realizing its impact: eating too close to bedtime. Now let's talk about a behavior that feels completely normal, even comforting. Eating at night, a small snack before bed, a late dinner at 9:30 or 10 p.m., a bowl of fruit, a piece of toast, maybe something sweet. Here's what's really going on inside your body when you eat late. When you consume carbohydrates, especially refined carbohydrates, insulin rises. That's normal. Insulin's job is to move glucose out of the bloodstream and into cells. But at night, your body is naturally becoming more insulin resistant. This is part of your circadian rhythm. Glucose tolerance is highest in the morning and lowest at night. So when you eat late, insulin must work harder. Blood sugar stays elevated longer. The liver continues processing nutrients instead of entering repair mode. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your liver as the night shift maintenance crew. During the day, it's processing fuel. At night, it's supposed to clean up metabolic waste, regulate cholesterol production, balance hormones, and support cardiovascular recovery. But if you keep sending it food at 10 p.m., the maintenance crew never gets to do maintenance. They're still processing deliveries. What the research shows is that late-night eating is associated with higher nighttime glucose levels, impaired blood pressure dipping, increased inflammation, and greater cardiovascular risk, especially in older adults. And here's why that matters. Elevated nighttime insulin suppresses fat burning. It increases sympathetic nervous system tone. It reduces melatonin production. It keeps cortisol from fully dropping. The result? Your heart never fully enters parasympathetic rest and repair mode. If this is resonating with you, consider subscribing. I share practical, science-backed strategies like this to help you optimize your health without medication whenever possible. So what can you do? First, establish a 3 to 4 hour buffer between your last meal and bedtime. Second, prioritize protein and fiber earlier in the day and keep your final meal lighter and lower in refined carbohydrates. Third, experiment with a 12-14 hour overnight fasting window. For example, finish dinner at 7 p.m. and eat breakfast at 8 or 9 a.m. Fourth, if you need something before bed, choose a small protein-based option, like Greek yogurt or a handful of nuts, rather than sugar. Remember this, nighttime is for hormonal repair, not digestion. Now in the next section, we're going to address one of the most dangerous and underdiagnosed nighttime heart stressors in older adults, sleep apnea and oxygen deprivation. Now we need to talk about something far more serious and often completely undiagnosed, sleep apnea. Here's what's really going on inside your body. In obstructive sleep apnea, the airway partially or completely collapses during sleep. Breathing pauses, oxygen levels drop, carbon dioxide rises, the brain senses danger, and within seconds it triggers an adrenaline surge to wake you just enough to breathe again. This can happen 20, 40, sometimes 60 times per hour. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine someone walking into your bedroom every few minutes all night long and startling you awake, just enough to jolt your nervous system. That's what untreated sleep apnea does to the heart. Every oxygen drop activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. Blood pressure spikes, heart rate surges, blood vessels constrict. Over time, this repeated stress contributes to atrial fibrillation, coronary artery disease, stroke, and heart failure. What the research shows is clear. Studies published in journals like Journal of the American College of Cardiology demonstrate that untreated obstructive sleep apnea significantly increases cardiovascular mortality, especially in older adults. And here's what makes this especially dangerous. Many people don't know they have it. You don't have to be overweight, you don't have to snore loudly, you don't even have to feel sleepy during the day. Common subtle signs include waking up with a dry mouth, morning headaches, frequent nighttime urination, a partner noticing pauses in breathing. Here's the key point. Oxygen deprivation at night destabilizes heart rhythm, and in older adults whose cardiovascular systems are already more vulnerable, this can be the trigger for sudden events. So what can you do? First, if you have risk factors, request a sleep study. Home sleep tests are widely available now. Second, if diagnosed, use CPAP consistently. It is one of the few interventions proven to reduce nighttime blood pressure spikes. Third, support airway tone naturally. Maintain a healthy weight. Avoid alcohol 3 to 4 hours before bed. Sleep on your side rather than your back. Fourth, address nasal congestion and inflammation, which can worsen airway collapse. Remember this, oxygen is not optional. Your heart cannot repair without it. In the next section, we'll explore the final piece of the puzzle, autonomic nervous system imbalance, and why chronic stress keeps millions of older adults in a silent state of nighttime cardiovascular strain. Now let's bring this all together with the final, and often invisible, driver of nighttime heart risk, autonomic nervous system imbalance. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your autonomic nervous system has two main branches, the sympathetic system, your fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic system, your rest and repair mode. During healthy sleep, parasympathetic tone should dominate. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, inflammation decreases, cellular repair accelerates. But in many older adults, especially those with chronic stress, metabolic dysfunction, or poor sleep habits, the sympathetic system never fully turns off. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine trying to park your car at night, but your foot is still lightly pressing the gas pedal. You may be technically at rest, but the engine is still revving. That's what happens when cortisol stays elevated at night. Chronic stress, insulin resistance, visceral fat, and inflammation all increase baseline sympathetic tone. The result? Lower heart rate variability, higher nighttime blood pressure, and greater risk of arrhythmias. What the research shows is that reduced heart rate variability, a marker of poor autonomic balance, is strongly associated with cardiovascular mortality in older adults. Now here's the empowering part. Autonomic balance is trainable. You can strengthen parasympathetic tone. Here are practical tools. First, slow breathing before bed. Try 4 to 6 breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds, for 5 minutes. Longer exhales stimulate the vagus nerve. Second, magnesium glycinate in the evening may support relaxation and blood pressure regulation. Always confirm dosing with your physician. Third, resistance training during the day improves autonomic balance and insulin sensitivity. Fourth, reduce evening stimulation, news, intense shows, stressful conversations. Fifth, consider a brief gratitude or journaling practice before bed. Psychological stress translates directly into physiological stress. Your heart listens to your nervous system. If the brain perceives threat, the heart prepares for action. If the brain perceives safety, the heart enters repair. So the goal is not just better sleep, it's physiological safety. Now let's step back and connect all of this into a clear action plan you can start tonight. We've talked about circadian rhythm breakdown. We've discussed light exposure at night. We've examined late night eating. We've uncovered sleep apnea and oxygen deprivation. And we've explored autonomic nervous system imbalance. Now step back and look at the pattern. Every one of these factors interferes with the same biological goal: nighttime cardiovascular repair. Your heart is not designed to work at full intensity 24 hours a day. It depends on darkness, stable blood sugar, oxygen, and parasympathetic dominance to recover. When those conditions are disrupted, especially in older adults, the risk accumulates quietly. Here's the empowering truth: this risk is modifiable. You do not need extreme interventions. You need alignment. Start with one simple step tonight. Make your bedroom completely dark. Finish eating at least 3 hours before bed. Practice 5 minutes of slow breathing. Get morning sunlight tomorrow. Small corrections restore biological rhythm, and rhythm restores resilience. Remember this principle: heart health is not just about cholesterol numbers. It is about timing, oxygen, light, hormones, and nervous system balance. If you're serious about protecting your heart as you age, treat nighttime as sacred repair time. Try just one of these changes today and track how your body responds. Monitor your sleep quality, notice your morning energy, pay attention to your resting heart rate. Your body gives feedback when you listen. If this added value, like the video and subscribe to join others who are optimizing their metabolic health and longevity naturally. Because protecting your heart doesn't start in the emergency room.